Who's scruffy looking?
Hey, what's up guys? Danny here. So I'm going to show you how it is I trim my beard up to maintain a longer beard. So as if you're following along my series, you know I'm going for a longer beard. I've grown this out many times before, but I've made a lot of good mistakes and a lot of good, revelations on the journey before. So I'm going to show you what it is I do when I'm trying to maintain the long growth of my beard, but at the same time try to keep it tidy, nice, looking neat and stuff like that. So I'm going to start with a good brush. Groomly here has sent out with every order I've got from them a really good brush. It's just firm enough but not too firm, and so what I use is I start out with this and I take it in. You just want to like dig in like this and brush up. And silly as it may seem, really what it's like, honestly, it's like you're trimming a shrub. The hair on my cheek is going to be longer than the hair on my chin in certain places. It's going to be thicker in certain places, etc., etc. So the best thing you can do to try to get an even cut without using a guard to use to just go right up against your cheek and use like going straight down, straight up, or whatever. This is the best way to do it. Come on. There we go. Just like that. So hopefully you've gotten to the point where you've got it all bushed out now. Like I look super ridiculous, but doing this for you. This is how it is. This is what you're gonna do. So if you've not got a beard like this yet, this is what you're in for. So get it all brushed out. Like I said, you want to have it standing up as straight from your face as possible, because the way you're going to treat it is like a bush, depending on what shape you want. So what I have right now, my Conair clippers. I've had them for a while now, good clippers. Using a number 4. Now what that number 4 means is that I think it's like about an inch. No, I'm sorry, it's about a ½ inch. Like if you were to put this right up against your face, what you would be left with is ½ inch of hair. So what I can do while you're about to see how I do this, when I turn these clippers on, I know that when the guard is pushing up against like the bulk of my hair, then it's taking off at the most a ½ inch. So that's kind of just a thing to keep in mind. If you use this number 4 right up against your face like so, you're gonna take off the hair, like down to where you'll only have ½ inch left. So I probably have here like a good 2 to 3 inches of growth. So when I use this guard, I'm using this guard to press against what I want to make sure I leave, right? So I'm going to be coming to passes sort of like this. I'm going to be looking at my mirror when I do it, but if I was looking at my mirror and if these are on, I would be going like this. Like that. I'm just kind of combing the ends like that. So again, you're going to get a vantage point that's a little bit more from the side because I'm using a mirror, but I'm using my viewfinder or whatever you want to call it right now on my camera. It lets me look at myself. And if I was using that as my mirror, I'd be going like that. Again, like I said, so that when I'm kind of hitting the thick of it, I'm picking a pass, I know that it's my number 4, my ½ inch guard is making sure that I only take at the most a ½ inch from my longest length here. Okay, so now there are definitely more precise ways to do this, right? So if you had a comb and you were to take that comb and you felt dexterous and agile with your hands, you could take that comb, bring it out, and just as long as you want it, just cut it, just straight edge, just bam, cut it. I'm not that confident in my hands. I also don't like using a comb on my hair because it's too thick. There's no really good comb that goes through it all unless it's all oiled up, and I don't want to cut it super slathered in oil. So this is what's always worked for me. Sorry if you heard my dryer go off. This is what has worked for me. It's number 4 when I get to about this point, which is the 5-6 month mark. So I'm going to proceed. All right, so 2 points to make. First is you can already see the difference, right, between this side which I've been trimming and this side which I've been not. So point number one is just to keep in mind, like visualize what you want your beard to look like at the end, and you can tell, right? So like when you fluff it out, do you want it to look this uneven and bulky? Or see, look, there's obviously a high point here. Like if this is all supposed to be somewhat the same length, this is obviously out of shape. It should not stick that far out. So that's what you want to go for when you're pushing. So basically then point number two, as you're pushing into your hair to kind of even that length out and bring it together a little bit, you do want to kind of push it in until you kind of feel like this black part, your guard, is kind of combing your hair. That's kind of how you know, again, the most you're taking off when you start to hear that snipping sound of your hair cutting, the most you're taking off is ½ inch. That's not that bad. You can bring that back in a couple of weeks, a month tops. Or somewhere around a month really. It depends, again, everyone's grows at different speeds. About a month is, I'd say, about accurate. But don't be too worried about it. And another point, this is why I've not touched it. So many other guys I've either watched or whatever, again, I'm not critiquing, but they start to trim too soon. This is why when you wait till you got a good bit of length on there, you got 5 or 6 months worth of growth, that's why it's a better time to trim now, because using a 4, a number 4 on your clippers, the worst you're gonna do is still have a longer beard. It just will be a little less long, and then again, that's not gonna, you're not gonna be like, you know what, I lost all that time and all that, effort or whatever. Like, you still will have a long beard at the end of this, even if you go a little bit shorter than you wanted to. Again, if you're using a 4 at least, like I said, leaves you ½ inch there. I'm continuing now, and again, just for reference, look at the difference between what I've gone through. Again, I'm using the guard as if it was a comb almost, and it's pressing out a little bit, but it's also grabbing a lot, which you can see the difference. And then another thing real quick, when you get to the chin, most people's chin, the hair is a lot thicker there. It also is growing slightly different. It's usually going more straight down than the hair on your face is. But either way, when you get to that point, I recommend, and at any point that you feel like you're not quite getting yet, go sideways. Go like this. You probably saw me do that. The most I'm ever going to tilt this thing is at a 45-degree angle right there. Or no, wait, a 90-degree angle. Whatever, which degree I'm talking about. Like this. So at the most, go like this. Do not go up. If you go up, you will regret it. You will take off a lot more hair than you're anticipating. So go down, go this way, but do not go this way. All right, continuing. So just to give you a little insight where I'm at now. As I'm going through this, I'm realizing that this side of my face, which has the biggest cowlick, I'm having a harder time cutting off the length that I need to going downwards. The reason of that is because my hair on the side of my face grows more towards it. As it comes out, it swoops towards the back of my head, versus this side, which grows more or less downwards. So as I get to this side, because the hair lengthwise is going mostly backwards, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more coming at it from this way in order to get it, rather than going just down the whole way. And again, that's something you kind of can hear. You can hear how much hair it's cutting. So you want to hear some snipping, not like that sound where it's like it's digging in. You want to hear it getting some hair, a bit of hair, not just snip every once in a while. You want to hear, some good hair, not too much, not too little. So listen for it. And again, that's why you got the 4-inch guard on there. And if you want to practice, put a 5 on there or a 6 on there if you don't feel as confident. So what I'm doing here when I get to my chin, I'm really taking it, I'm not even going down, because it's not going to get much, because it goes straight down here. So I'm going to be going in like this, like that, until I feel like it's fitting and blends with the rest of my hair. Okay, so I think my video cut out for a second, but just in case. This is what it looks like. I've not brushed it yet. I'll go ahead and brush it down. So what you should go ahead and do at this point is brush it down like you would normally. and just get a good look at it. This is, you know, if you brush it like how you brush normally, don't brush too hard, but don't brush too soft, brush normally. And that's what it's gonna be, that's what it's gonna look like basically when you do it, you know, when you brush anyways, because that's how you normally brush it. So this is how mine would lay. You can, you know, hopefully already see the difference. The lighting here is a little bit not optimal, but you know, if you can get a pretty good idea there of the difference between it, and I'll show a video, or I'll show a video clip before and after. And so yeah, so I can tell, you know, you may be able to tell, but I can tell looking in the mirror, it's a little bit still long on the bottom, which you may oftentimes find, especially if you let it grow out on your neck, fur it out on your neck, is that the bottom almost feels like the edge of the bottom of your beard, right back here, feels like it's longer than the rest. And that's typically because it is, because the way that we did it, because we didn't go up against the grain, it probably didn't catch this hair on the bottom as much. So what a lot of barbers have done, that I've been to before, when they cut it just like that, because at first that looks really great. That doesn't get it from the sides and from the top, or from both sides, like how I was showing you earlier. If you cut into it just like that, it's going to be the same way that my theory is on cutting your mustache. You go in with the trimmers like that, like up against to touch your skin. It's gonna look like you like carved out your beard. You know, it's gonna look like an awkward straight edge. If you want more of a natural look, you should do what I'm doing right now, using the guard and then this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna freehand it now, like just like how I taught you how to do with our mustache. Again, you may or may not feel comfortable with this, so do what you're comfortable with. You know, again, I think that it's a valuable trait to be. If you have a beard, you should be able to trim it. Personal opinion, not fact. And so if you feel uncomfortable using it freehand like this with no guard on it, put a guard on there so that you take off less. But learning how to do it, you should go ahead and try this in some form or another. So I'm gonna take the bottom, and just kind of what I'm gonna do is just take a little bit of length off the bottom, kind of like by coming in it like this, like that. I'm just kind of going like that at the bottoms. So now I've moved, so anyway, so I got that. You may or may not be able to tell the difference. I can tell it here. It looks better. Again, my side profile, I always want the front to look like it is further down than the back. So I may not be achieving that right this moment because I've not got a side profile look on myself yet, like dead on. I'll take some pictures later to do that. But that's my goal. I want this to be slightly longer than everything in the back, so that my side profile, it's almost like an extension of my jaw. I want my jaw to come down like this. I want my hair to also kind of have that higher, a little bit higher in the back, drop towards the front. I'm gonna go ahead and freehand and clean it up, and then we'll wrap it up. All right. All right, so you can check it, but just kind of, now, fluffing it out a little bit. You know, the big thing is just to kind of leave well enough alone here. If you've ever trimmed your beard before, you know it's so easy to take off too much and then be like, it looks terrible, now cut it all off and you start over. Hopefully by following what I've showed you just now, you'll be able to maintain a good natural trim to your longer beard. And especially if this is your first one, it'll keep you on the train of getting towards getting to a long beard, if that's what your goal is, or again maintaining this. If you've been watching my regular series, you've seen how it was just this week, or last week rather, I was complaining about my beard getting too long. I was feeling just like, oh man, it's kind of taking over, it's just a little bit looking unkempt or whatever. This is it, just like getting a good haircut. You know, sometimes you may want to shave your head, but you get a good haircut, you're like, oh, you know what, I'm glad I actually kept some hair. Same here. This is a good trim. It's looking good. I'm gonna sleep on it, take a shower in the morning, probably do another little touch up then, but it would really just be minor. We'll look at it in the mirror, the mirror now. I like what it looks like. So so hopefully that was helpful to you. If you have any questions about anything that I did during the process of cutting it, please type it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer it, or even do another video on it. And appreciate your comments, suggestions, all that other good stuff. And again, like I said, I hope this was a help to you. If it was, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, subscribe so you can watch of my other beard related videos and other cool videos that are even not beard related. And catch you on the flippity flip.